TCS for the last 4 years, before which I was doing my MBA in Mumbai, IBS Mumbai. So post that, I got into this company in the designation of business analyst. Later, I started taking up roles of a product manager, and that's how I got into the product management role. And I would I also like to get to know about the group and demography of the group. Basically, like what kind of batch this is. Like, is it all an IT batch, or is it a mix of different streams of engineering? Maybe like you can just drop a message in the chat window. Maybe I can get an idea of what the group is all together. Um, could you all? I mean. Like give a background of background about yourself, like you're from IT or which stream of engineering you're from. Maybe I can get a rough idea of uh, the whole set of people here. Okay, thanks, ma'am. So most of them are from IT related engineering. So maybe it would be something that would interest most of the people here. So let me start with what is product management basically. Yeah. Before getting into what is product management, so I would want to know like like I would want to know like how many of you people here understand what's a product and what's a service, and how do companies make money out of it, and how are they different, and um, um, like how many companies you know of a service based profile, and what are the companies, prominent companies there, which are dominant in the product space. Maybe I would like the interaction, I mean the session to be a little interactive, so maybe I can also get to hear from people and understand what you guys know.
I think, Bala, we can just move ahead with the presentation, and finally we may have an interactive session with the participants, I think.
Okay, no problem. Okay. So uh, basically, I was trying to get an idea of what are the different companies that exist in the market in the IT space. So it's basically divided into a major category of a service sector and a product sector. So what's the difference between the service and a product is something we'll talk about in this slide. And so basically, you see Tata Consultancy Services, HCL, Infosys, all the big players in the market. So these companies are basically the service-based companies. So what do these companies do, and how are they different from the companies like Google, Amazon, Adobe, and Salesforce? So yeah, so what these companies do is like these companies provide services to another organization or another company for this reason. So what they do is they give us service as their solution for another company to it can be any kind of a solution, maybe like it can be an IT infrastructure service that the company wants to provide to another company. It can be providing resources to another software company like Google for this reason to build a product. So that's how these companies make money out of money out. So basically these companies are trying to solve the problems that are a one-time solution. Like basically I give an infrastructure solution and I maintain that. That's all. That's what they do. But these companies, on the other hand, in the product-based companies, they give a solution. They give a solution for the customer's problem, or any sort of solution that they provide has to be iterative, and they have to develop eventually, and they'll have to make revenue out of it. The more the product is solving a problem, the more they make money out of it. That's a main difference between these two companies. And obviously, like all product-based companies that are in the market today, uh, they aim to provide a lot of products that are customer centric, and they get to they get to solve a lot of customer problems, and so that's how basically they make the revenue out of their companies. So yeah, this is just a gist of what are the different companies that are existing in the space. And yeah, and I would also like to talk about a few things in product management. Just a minute. Okay. So yeah, so before getting into what product management ideally is, so basically a lot of people would have had a lot of ideas of building a product or solving a solution. Even I had a lot of ideas while I was in my engineering grad. We had a lot of projects that has to be submitted by the end of our I mean, a fourth year semester. So everyone had ideas, and everyone wants to develop some product that solves some problem. So, but how do you develop them ideas, and how do you build a product, and how to effectively put it into market and build them as a successful product? So that's the question that's basically something about product management. Okay, and to talk a little more of what product management is like, you are someone who takes care of everything, and it's a cross-functional domain basically. So what the domain is all about is it's something that needs to be dealt with product marketing, analytics, finance, design, engineering, name it, everything has to be handled within the product space to successfully launch a product. Um, so let me get a little further. So yeah, as I said, so everyone would have ideas, and we would want to turn them into potential products. So currently, product management has become a very diverse field. So it's a very cross-functional domain, and we need to be completely aware of everything that revolves around a product, and how from ideation to it gets into the market. So that's a complete role of a product management or a product product manager's role. So how we start is like, we usually, when we want to build a product, so we have a lot of product ideas, right? So we brainstorm the product ideas and create a pool of ideas basically to see which ideas are worth to build a product, and we evaluate those ideas, and we pick up the most feasible ideas which could probably bring a best profit margin, or a better revenue for the company, or not just revenue, it's solving a purpose for the user. So, and the main thing that everyone has to do something about the product management is, you need to ask a lot of questions. So why am I building this product, or why am I building this feature, and how this feature is going to help my customer, or my user. So these are the questions that you need to raise every time that you need to think of building a product or a feature or something of that sort. And the question is, how do you decide? So how do you decide which feature is good and which product will benefit the customer? So yeah, so this is one of the crucial things that comes to the role of a product manager, or within the domain. So basically, to decide a feature or an idea, what you had to do is you had to do a lot of research on how this idea is going to work, and like what kind of a user group you're targeting this idea to, and how will this product be taken up in the market? Will there be a demand for the product in the market? And so are you going to solve this particular problem which has a lot of demand in the market, or are you going to go on a niche demand which is still giving a better product value here? So you need to ask a lot of questions and do a lot of market research before getting into the markets basically. So, and so once you have decided the product and the feature, and your idea is all set, so how do you decide where do you put the product, or how the product looks, and what would it cost, and a lot of other things comes into play, right? So that's something, the next thing. So what you'll have to do is design is something that's very crucial with products basically. So you come up with a lot of designs, and you need to understand which design will appeal to the customer and which design solves the problem, and what is a um, what is this design going to propose to the business, and what is the value for the design the business has. A lot of questions has to be asked before you ideate a problem. And the role of a product manager and a product management a product team is that he's the one who's like taking the whole authority of leading the product, and he owns the product basically. So he's free to take all decisions that he has to do with the product, but he's also liable for any business outcomes that comes out of the product. See, for example, we have Google, right? So the product that we currently use for meeting, Google Meet. So this is a product. So Google might have a product manager for Meet alone. So he is free to decide what feature gets into the product, and he is also responsible for what are the business outcomes of it, and how he has to deal with it. A lot of things are put into place to build a product. When it comes to a large product which is used by a lot of people. Okay. And so yeah, once you have decided a design, so what basically like every industry does is they do not end up with a single design. We create a lot of designs, multiple variations of designs of a single product. Maybe even for a simple example, if they're just creating a simple Excel a simple web form, which basically takes in the response from the user. So you create multiple variations of the same form with different input methods or different form items. You create a different variation of the same form to see which form gives a better outcome or a better response rate from the users basically. So so this is something that's evolving in the product managers or the product management's life cycle. So it comes through learning. And post design, so you have got a design that works for the product, or you have a good design that would solve the problem. You need to make the design work. So that's when the engineering team comes into play. So you'll have to interact with a lot of technical people, get to know what this product would need, like what all the APIs would be hitting, and what would be the data structure for this particular feature that you develop and whatnot. Like you'll have a lot of technical problems which you would have not thought of while developing the product. So this we have to go through a lot of meetings and set up a lot of meetings with a lot of people and understand how the product has to be engineered. So you have once you have an engineering solution, so that is when you'll have to go to the market and start building releases and giving your products to people and getting responses from them. And based on those responses, you again iterate the product development and build better products or better features which could impact the business altogether. So that's how you evolve through the product management, or um, you build better products basically. Yeah, to summarize, so what I would say is product management is something that is a cross-functional domain which basically has everything put up into it. So it's like owning a small business altogether. You own a part of the business, or you're responsible for the part of the business completely, right from ideation till releasing the products. It can be anything, even it can be legal implications that have for the product when it's reaching a larger audience. So you own everything basically. So that's kind of a profile or a role that you'll be looking here. So to summarize, the roles or things that would fall under product management is like you would have product marketing. You'd have to look at how the product costs. It's something about finance. It's all a design aspect. You'll have to look into design aspects. You'll have to work into the engineering team. You'll have to work with the legal teams, and post which you'll have to, once a product is released, you'll have to work with the analytics teams to see how your products work in the real time and how we can measure the products. So these are a lot of things that fall into the product management space. So I guess I've given a quick overview of like what is product management, and so I'll go a little further on how the industry works. Yeah. So this is software development methodologies. So all of you would have read something about software development methodologies like software development lifecycle methods, the waterfall method, iterative method, and all these methods that you have learned in your curriculum here in engineering. So yeah, so how does the industry actually work? So yeah, these are traditional methods that were being using a lot, a lot of time back. So most of the companies, to be precise, like 90% of the companies now are agile. So you would have also read of what is an agile methodology of product development. So let me get into it a little further. Yeah. uh, Industry is always finding or moving towards better ways of working where productivity could be increased and better products could be developed. So basically, so every industry is aiming for something that could be improved to increase the productivity of the company or the developers or the people who work inside the team, or whatnot. Every team wants to improve their productivity, right? So everyone is looking for better ways of working. So rather than having the traditional methods, like we all know, like traditional methods have a lot of problems with working. So it has a lot of pitfalls basically. So we'll not be able to find the problems in the later stage of the cycle. So we have a lot of problems basically with the other methods of software development. So agile is something that all of the companies are currently following. Not to mention all, most of the companies are following now for the software development methods. And agile is like something that is very um, uh, focus, or it's all streamlined towards what we are building, and it can be so helpful in building a product. And uh, see, like as the world is all changing, there will be a lot of requirement changes, and we cannot sit for like close to 3-4 months and see what our requirements and scale it, and all of a sudden there'll be a requirement change. So we cannot scale things for such a long period and wait for all of these requirements to be gathered, and a technical solution is prepared and we develop a product and it's outdated once we release it. So it cannot be like that. So it has to be iterative, and it has to be something that's active, and it's done every day. So everything that we do has to be done on a daily basis, or on a weekly basis. It has to be updated on it has to be updated basically real time. So that's how the industry works now. And basically, to give an idea of how what agile methodologies most of the companies use, most of the companies use Scrum or Kanban methods. So Scrum, I believe you would have heard Scrum. Scrum is something that even I work upon. My team is a Scrum team. So how the Scrum team is structured. So I'll give an overview of how the Scrum team is structured. So we have a product manager. To define the roles, we have a product manager, we have a scrum master, and we have a development team. So this is how a scrum team is structured. Or even if you get into one of the IT companies now, you'd probably put into any of these roles. Most of the companies are agile, so you'd be probably put up into any of these roles. Dev team, as usual, have your developers, your test people, and the analytics people, the design people, and everyone. So that's a dev team. So a product manager is someone who owns a product, and he directs the whole team together, and derives what the product has to be, and looks out and gives an idea of how the team has to operate, and drives the team altogether. So that's the role of the product manager basically. And scrum master is one who's someone who takes care of the team in an operational way. Like we have a lot of ceremonies within agile, something like a product planning, a retrospective, and not whatnot. So we have a lot of ceremonies within agile in scrum. So basically scrum is something which is defining a requirement in a certain period of time. For instance, we follow a 2 weeks process. So that process is called sprints. So basically, what we do is we define a certain work on a certain part of the product that has to be developed in maybe 2 weeks. So what we do is we create we prioritize the work basically for the 2 weeks and give it to the development team, and they develop the product and we release that as a part of the product. So basically, so what a product manager does here is like he develops what the team has to do for the next 2 weeks, and he ideates what has to be going through the 2 weeks, and what would be the product backlog or something that has to be developed for the next 2 weeks ideally. So this is something that has that be a role of a product manager uh, uh, on a daily basis also. And scrum master is someone who manages the team's operational work, like how effective is the team, and what are the things that could be changed in the team's working process, and what are the pitfalls in the team's development process, what could be changed. And we have a lot of meetings with the scrum master to identify the issues that team face and how can we improve it on the next sprint basically. So it's all like not having a complete 3 months of process and learning what are the mistakes that we had and coming back to the next process and rectifying mistakes. It's all fast paced, so it's all mostly for 2 weeks. We take a product, we develop something or a feature. Basically we take a feature, we develop it in 2 weeks, and basically go back to see how the feature works and how what could be improved, and we put up a next 2 weeks of work and we work on it, and it goes on like that. So yeah. And the other thing is Kanban. So Kanban is something which is not having a structured of 2 week. I mean, it doesn't have a basically. It doesn't have a time span of the work that comes in. Basically, these kind of I mean, software. Kanbans are something that's used for teams which should support Scrum teams. So basically, I develop a product, and there's another support team which is working for the analytics part of the product. So I give a request to see how my product measures and how what are the analytic responses that I get for the product. So I give a request to them. So those teams would be something that are cross-functional across a whole organization. It can be a pricing team, it can be a analytics team, it can be a design team, something like that. So where they don't have a defined roadmap of this has to be done within these 2 weeks, they get prioritize. They get different priorities based on different teams' requirements. So it's all like new requirement gets in, it's completed, and then requirement is taken, and it's something like that. They don't have a structured team roles also. That's Kanban. And coming to the softwares that or the tools that we used to do the process, usually it's all put into tickets or yeah, I mean user stories that you would have known of. So that's how we put up all the requirements into that's how we document the requirements basically, and break them into granular stories or tickets, so that the development team can take it further and work on it and push it across release. So we use softwares like Jira, version 1. These are all issue tracking softwares. So those are the softwares that we use for the process altogether. And other than that, so there are a lot of other softwares which a product manager uses. So that I'll talk a little further. Okay. Okay. So before going further, so let's talk of what is to be a product manager. So product manager is someone who heads the whole of the products that he owns. It is a complete cross-functional role, as I told, and it's also a challenging role because like you had to lead the product, and you also have to interact with a lot of teams. As I told, see, I have to develop the product. I have requirements that would interact with other team. Like for instance, I have a requirement that would interact with the pricing team or a design team. So I had to go interact with those people to get my requirements out for my products. So basically, it's like you need to lead lead the team without authority on people. So other teams don't report directly to you. So you have to lead them in a way that you get your requirements or you get your work done. So it's a difficult work to do. And and uh, uh, the main thing that a product manager does is mostly communication, because like you're the one who owns the idea, and communicating the idea to the people is very crucial, and that's the idea. That's a major role that the product manager plays in a product management team. And yeah, so let me go a little further. So, as I said, the product manager is a cross-functional. Product manager's role is a cross-functional role. So, it's a role that the person has to understand the business, and also has to know about the technology, and also needs to understand how the user has wants product or the experience to be. So, it's a mix of all things together. He needs to understand a lot of how the current market is, and how the people are expecting, and what the people are expecting. And and understanding the user is something that's a crucial part of product manager's role, because like you don't understand the customers or the users well, you're building a wrong product basically. So that's a very crucial part. And you also need to understand, like, if this product you're building would basically be a successful product only for this user category, or it can be scaled up for a lot of other users also. You need to think of a lot of other things also, like how this product can be scaled to another set of people or another set of user group. A lot of things goes on this as well. So yeah, getting into the product vision or the solution. So for instance, I would like to build a product for kids, basically kids with an age group of 10, say an age group of 10. So here my user group is basically a set of people who fall under the age of 10. So I need to have a vision of products that would benefit those people, and it cannot be something that needs to be engaging for a user who is 18 plus, or like 20, for that reason. So you need to identify your exact user, and you need to do a lot of research on what the user needs, and also see, like, if you have a competitor in the market, and see analyze the competitor on what he does, and how can we differ the solution that we give for this problem, and what is the problem that the competitor is providing, and what solution we could provide, something that's different to what the competitor is currently providing in the market. So these are something that will define your product's vision, and based on which you can come up with a solution for the product easily. Okay. And so, as I said, like, you have a lot of problems, and I mean, you have a lot of ideas that can be put into a solution, right? So, instance, I have three solutions that can solve this problem. So, and all the three problems has to be done to solve the solution. So, in that case, how do you prioritize which feature goes first, and which feature would be great to start with, and how do you test that? So that's something very crucial. We have to do that basically to uh, I mean, make the product successful. And usually product managers weigh in the features based on the complexity and the business value that the feature provides. So it's always favorable to have a feature or a product that's having a high business value and a low complexity. So that's what all product managers want to provide, and start with, at least. And later, it's also based on user feedbacks and user behaviors, and how they interact with the product. We get to learn from the patterns that the user use. We might have built a product for a reason, and the user might be interacting with the product completely different. So it's all a learning of how the user interacts with the product, and how we can build the product accordingly. So that's something that decides how to prioritize the features on building the features, and how to put them in a steady release. Yeah. So getting further into releasing the products, so you have defined the products, you have prioritized which feature to go with, and you have developed the feature, and you've got the results, and that is when you release the product. So before releasing the product, you do a lot of tests basically. So you build a lot of variations of the same product. to see which variation is basically giving the user a better experience, or it's giving a better conversion for the product. So that's something called an A/B test, so, or a multivariate test for that matter. So what you do is you build a lot of variations of the same product. For instance, I want to build a user form. User form A has so and so title, and the user form B had the same title with a different font size or a different font color for that matter. So these are the two variations that I have developed, and I wanted to test these two variations. So what I do is I have a total of set of 50,000 users that they fall into my page on a hourly basis. So I have a traffic of 50,000 users who come to my page on a daily basis or a hourly basis. So I divide the traffic basically into two halves for a simple A/B test. So based on that, a set of people would see the variation A, a set of people would see the variation B, and from there, how the user goes towards the end of the customer journey. See, I wanted the user to sign up for the um, user form. Basically, how many numbers of people sign up for this and how many number of people sign up for this, in this case at least. So we get to see which performs better than which. So based on that, we would decide on which uh, variation could be taken further. And this is something that most of the companies do, as it's really easy to work upon. And but this is something that a lot of companies are evolving, and they are doing a lot of multivariate tests, because like it's not the same for everyone. A set of users who wanted A, and a set of users who wanted B. um, uh, I mean, a set of users who wanted the A variation might not like the B variation. So there's a lot of chances that we might lose those customers. So it's all becoming more personalized. So people are building more products and more variations that are personalized to each and individual every user. So we get a different variations of the same website for different users. So that's something called a multivariate testing of the same product. And while releasing the products, we release it in different ways. Basically, we can have a staged release. Basically, staged releases like you release a part of the product and see how the user reacts, and what are the major pain points that the user feel to a particular group of people. And yeah, we release it basically into a small group of people to see how they respond and what are the feedbacks that they give on the product, and later rectify them. And maybe if that could be a bigger problem that could be addressed for the whole product itself, we come up with new solutions and review those solutions, and later go again with a smaller release to see how the product performs. And once we see a confident level, a confident product that could be successful, so that's when we go on a bigger scale of release. So that's how most of the products gets released. And this is the most crucial part of what a product manager does: measuring the product. So you have developed the product, you have done everything, and you have released the product to the market. So how do you know if the product is doing good in the market, if it's successful for the market, or if it's addressing the customer problems? So we do a lot of KPIs basically to understand uh, the product success, like customer surveys, interaction with the customer directly. For instance, you have a store, you interact with the customers directly to get their feedback. Or you can, when it comes to digital platform, you have a lot of metrics like NPS, net promoter score. Net promoter score is something that you would have seen in most of the websites. It would be a scale of 1 to 10. So you'd be asked to select something that based on the experience that you had. So usually anything that's less than 8 is a detractor, so you're not liking the product. So something like that. So these are the things that help us to measure how the experience was, and how the user is feeling about the product, and what could be changed about the product. uh, and a lot in my case, a lot of my products, I use a lot of conversion ratio, like how much percentage of people. I work for a e-commerce basically. So e-commerce, as in like it's something like a Flipkart for a US customer. So it's Best Buy. So what I had to do is I had to check a lot of conversion. So like a number of people visit my website, and how many people are getting converted to potential customers, and how much is the cart value, how much is the average order value that they place, and uh, 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 how much is the uh, year-on-year revenue that a user turns into the product, how many are repeat customers. A lot of these metrics has to be measured for an individual product to see if this product is working or not. Yeah. So these are typically a few of the or a basic of what a product manager does, and there are a lot of other things that a product manager does as well, and it's all these are the things that a product manager does. Yeah. And before getting the questions, maybe I can show a few instances of what we have developed in our company. So I'll show you the problem statement, and I can address like why we built this solution, and how we got into the solution. Yeah. Okay. I guess you must be able to see the screen. Okay, so this is the company that I work for, and this is Best Buy. So basically, this is something that it's an e-commerce company basically. This is something similar to what you see in Flipkart, Amazon, everything. It's one of the biggest companies in US, and they have a sales a little over than Amazon in electronics. Uh, Only in electronics, they are a bigger competition to Amazon in electronics. Yeah. So I can give you two examples of what we did for a problem. So basically, so refrigerator is a category. So I will show you. Okay. Before getting into it, let me give you the problem statement. So basically, like what we have in India, we have something called like what we have in India is Diwali or seasonal sales that we have in Flipkart or Amazon for that matter. We have something like that in US markets as well. Something called a Black Friday and Christmas sales. So holiday sales basically. So these are something that these are the times where the lot of orders that gets placed, and a number of orders gets placed. So after the orders are getting placed, like what we have in India, Best Buy also has a great return policy. So what happens is the customer buys a product, and after using a product for a few times, a few days, basically, when they have the Black Friday season, or when they have the Halloween season, where they have a lot of parties and whatnot in US. So basically, so once a season is done, they return back the products to the customers, and most of the products that got returned in the last year was the refrigerator. So that was a main point of uh, uh, that was a main category that got returned back. So we had a lot of sales which we didn't count. We have to return back the money also. So that was something that created a lot of issues last year. So what we did is we got a lot of response from the customer stating that most of the products were returned due to issues that are mostly based on the size. So in US, refrigerators are put into their kitchens. They are ideally fixed inside their kitchen cabinets. It's not something like what we have, not put up in a separate space like we have. It's all fixed inside the kitchen cabinets. So fitting of the refrigerator is very crucial for those people. So a lot of people who ordered gave back the product stating the products didn't fit well into our houses. So we had to return back. As we have a good return policy, we'll have to take back the refrigerator also. So what we did is, so we created a component here. This is the component that we created. So what this component basically does is it gives you an idea of how to measure the space that you have, and how what are the refrigerators that would fit in your exact space, and you could buy from those refrigerators. This is ideally reducing at least a few percentage of people who have written the refrigerator for this reason. So we have built this. So how we have built is we have built it in a guided way where the customer can learn what we are trying to educate him on, how to measure the space they have for the refrigerator. So for instance, he gets to decide the width and height of the space that he has for putting a refrigerator. And what it does is it basically asks for different variations of a refrigerator, and a few guidelines on how to look for a refrigerator and places where the refrigerator could be placed. So once we do is we get a curated list of products that would satisfy these needs. So these are the so for the details which I have fed, there is no refrigerators, but they have suggested a few products. So basically what this does is, so it gives a curated list of products that would satisfy only the requirements of the customer. It won't get into problems where the customer buy a product and they end up saying that the product doesn't fit in a place. So yeah, and one more thing is, like, you develop a feature or a product like this within the website. So how do you scale it? See, I have developed this feature for refrigerators. How do I use it across all of the Best Buy? So that is something that is to be thought of a product manager, because you need to understand how this feature we built can be used across all of other categories and something like that. Because like you cannot build products that are one-offs. So you build a product and you cannot use it in another place. That's a waste of time and money. So you need to think of ways where you can scale the products into multiple situations where you can make use of the product. So what we did is we have built a capability for this product. How we can do is, like, we have designed a component in such a way that you can change the category of the product, and you can change the questionnaires of the product, and you can put it in any categories, and you get the same functionality working there. So we have designed it in such a way. So this component works that way. So basically, you put the same functionality inside a television component. So television component works. So currently, it's all live only for the refrigerator. Just because we had issues with the refrigerator, we are not dealing with TVs or other categories. But this could be scaled to another category also. So that's something that we have done for this product. And I can show you another instance. So this is it's basically a deals page. So unlike India, we have weekly ads in US. So where you get different offers for every week. So all companies have ads. So newspaper ads have completely gone digital. So these all ads that you could see in newspapers, basically they have converted and they have been put into digital spaces. So in US, all these ads or all these deals gets refreshed every week on a weekly basis. So these are basically weekly deals. So we have developed this page. It was a completely different experience before this. We have developed this complete experience now. And what was the issue is, this was the component that we developed, which it helps you to move between different categories. Like, I want to see the deals within computer, Mac, tablets. I can get into it. So, but the problem is, when the user gets to scroll down the product, he doesn't get to see. He doesn't get to move to the next product directly. So we had a lot of requests where the user has to click on the top button and again go back to get to the next category. So this was one of the issues that we faced, and a lot of customers have moved out of this page and left the website itself. So that's something that we face, because a lot of customers who wanted to buy something, they were not they were frustrated with the experience and they were left the page. So what we did is, so we have added something called we have added small widgets or some buttons that would basically take them to the next at least to the next categories that they want to move, and this has brought a drastic difference in the ways the customer has interacted we don't see a lot of people now clicking on the top button to move back to the category navigation to move different categories. A lot of people want to just move to the next category to see what is there in the next category. So we realize we need to put something, post they scroll down to the complete category, they want to see the next category. So that's what that's a user pain point, and we have addressed it in this way. So yeah, so maybe I have given two examples of what we do on a real-time basis, and yeah, I guess it's time for questions. Maybe you have some questions, you can post them in the group or you can ask them.
Thank you, Bala. It was a nice session. Like, actually, you gave a good insight on product management, and I think the participants would have got an idea of what is actually going on in your industry and how product is being developed and how it could be managed. Uh, Thanks to you. Thanks for giving a good insight on it. And participants, if you have any questions or queries, you may post it in the chat box, or you may unmute and you can put your questions to the speaker.
Yeah.
I think a few students from FX are available. If you would like to have any answers from him, like if you would like to clarify, you can.
And to add to what ma'am said, like how to get into a product management role is like once you get out of your college, you can most of the companies do not take people who are freshers as product managers. You have to go through a lot of um, at least a technical background of 2 to 3 years. At least you have to do a management degree to get into something that is related to managerial roles, and post which you can get into a product manager role. So basically, at least you need to work for at least 4 5 years to get into a product manager role if someone is aspiring to become a product manager. And it is all not restricted to just IT. You can be a product manager and anything. Like you can be a product manager in a bank. Basically, you can be a product manager in um, anything like a pharmacy company or anything. It can be anything. So it's a diverse role.
Like there is a
Yeah.
question like during COVID-19, what are the products that can be launched? There's a question from Sharmila.
Okay. So I can take this as a question like during COVID-19, how what were the challenges that you basically faced in an e-commerce sector? So like we are an e-commerce company which has basically a lot of stores across US, and a lot of people have footfalls across the stores to buy products and see how the product feels and understand the products better. So what happened is stores are completely locked. Digital is the only medium where people can interact with the product or understand the product and purchase the products. And we had to also enable um, the purchase behavior where a lot of people had during before COVID, where they visit the physical stores and they buy the products there. And will have to enable that experience also. So what we did is we had brought curbside pickup. So curbside pickups are something. What curbside pickups is like? Basically, you drive a car to one of the Best Buy stores, and you have a token number. Once you place an order, you get details accordingly in your mail. So what you do is you get the instructions on how to reach the store and where to park your cars and sit inside the cars. And basically, once you give a notification that you have reached to the store, one of the runners or one of the employees who work inside the store basically carries your product and brings it to your car and loads it in your car, and you can drive off from there. So it's basically a contactless experience. And basically developed only for people who wanted to have an in-store experience. So that's how currently Best Buy is handling the COVID-19 situation.
There are two more questions from the audience.
Will you?
From Mr. Augustin Jebakumar, how to develop a product roadmap?
Okay. So how to develop a product? It's a good question. So basically, product roadmap is a set of features that you have for the product. And let me give you an example. So instance, I am the product manager of WhatsApp. So I wanted to develop a set of features for WhatsApp. WhatsApp has groups. WhatsApp has payments. WhatsApp has calls, a lot of features like this, right? So I wanted to prioritize which product, which feature goes first. So that's the main role of developing a product roadmap. So, and to develop a roadmap with a lot of features ahead, so you need to prioritize which product goes first based on the complexity that the product has and the complexity we have while developing the product, and also the business value. For instance, I developed something called payments that has a better business value for the the product. So instance, I developed a payments functionality within WhatsApp. So what I can do is I can use WhatsApp's large number of audience, and I can monetize it potentially. Basically, like, see, if you're booking a ticket via Redbus, and if there's a failed transaction, you can send a link to all users who are using WhatsApp through a business account, and potentially bring back the customer to the payment page and get it paid. As WhatsApp has payments, it can initially you can easily make a payment through WhatsApp, something like that. So you need to understand which has a better business outcome and less complexity in developing the product, based on which you'll have to develop a set of features that would go across or a certain period of time, and you need to build a roadmap accordingly.
And the last and final question from the participant: will there be a backdrop in the selection of students in the IT sector after COVID-19? If yes, how to overcome it?
No, I don't think there'll be a backdrop in IT, because like basically like a lot of stores have become contactless and a lot of things are becoming digital. I believe there'll be a lot of openings in digital space. So that's where IT comes into play. So everything that we see now, like even hotels or restaurants or everything that we see is all getting into a digital phase. So there'll be a lot of openings for IT, and I believe I have answered your question. Okay. How often do you launch new features? So features basically it's all about how often. It's not more about how often you release features. It's all about how often you solve the customer problem. I have a customer problem which needs to be addressed as urgent as it is. Like, we have a COVID situation, we have a business problem that needs to be addressed all of a sudden. So we'll have to build a feature within a week or within 3 days or 2 days. We'll have to release it to the market. So it's all based on business outcomes that you decide when to launch a feature and how to launch a feature. And coming to my product, so we have a release schedule for every 2 weeks. That's the generic schedule that we have. If we have any business requirements that demands for a feature that needs to be rolled out a little earlier, we do accommodate them. Okay. Is there any customer research did we conduct? If conducting, how often will we? Okay. Yeah, customer research is something that you would start off while developing your requirements or ideating your solution itself, because like customer research, without understanding what the customer wants, you will not be able to build a product that would be solving the customer's problem. See, I wanted to build a chat application for that serves for all of the age groups, basically. So I need to build a chat application that doesn't have a lot of features, and I need to understand what features would be needed for a age group that falls from like 18 to 60. Everyone who needs to who are using the product basically needs to understand the features. So it's something like how you understand the customer better, and that's how better your products will be. So customer research is something that you need to do on a continuous basis. Like I develop a product, the customers are moving towards something else, you need to do research on it and understand what are the changing requirements and how to adapt to it and how to provide a different solution for that. Okay, do you have any other questions? I guess I have answered your question.
One question posted, like your suggestion to students entering the IT industry for their development in that atmosphere.
Okay. So, okay. I'm not seeing the question. So who has posted it?
Pranesh Kumar
Okay.
has
Okay.
posted.
Okay. Your suggestion to students and industry for the development. Okay. So what I would suggest is like data science is something that's booming altogether. So you be data specific or data science is something that everyone needs to be aware of, irrespective of what role you are into. So I would suggest people to get to know, understand, or get hands on a lot of data science courses. Like get hands on Python. That's something that you need to obviously learn, irrespective of you being a technical role or a non-technical role. That's something that has become crucial nowadays.
I think we are done.
Yeah, thanks.
So it was a great session, Balasubramanian. I really appreciate your effort in sparing time for us actually, and having been here for the webinar. Thanks much for your presentation. It was a really excellent session for the budding engineers as actually as for the for the people who have chosen software development as a career. And I am very thankful to you on behalf of again Francis Xavier Engineering College IT Department and Alumni Association. My heartfelt and sincere thanks to you. I wish you all the best in your career ahead, and we are really proud of you as an alumni of our institution. And have a great going. May God bless you with all the blessings and wishes. We wish you a great career ahead. This is yours. Thanks much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and thanks for everyone who has participated.
And I would also like to thank Ms. Monica Esther and Mr. T. Anto Deepak for having arranged this session. Thanks to you, all of you, and also to the IT team for supporting us in all works. Thanks much. Thanks to all of you, and thanks to all the participants for the active participation for this session. Thank you, one and all. The feedback link will be posted in the chat box. You can fill up the feedback link and get your email, e-certificates generated in your email. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.